of the details, stick around for the end because that's where I do my likes and dislikes, and dive a little deeper into the movie. But nevertheless, tonight we talk about Bohemian Rhapsody, the title of a legendary band, Queen, which was like the crown jewel in regards to their album covers of so many memorable songs in a very dynamic group. Now, of course, not being alive during their actual run through, I was very excited to get a look into the theater, into the experience of Queen. And that's what this movie promised in the trailer, portraying the immortal Freddie Mercury in all his glory and the band that he rocked the stage with. Bohemian Rhapsody hopes to give you insight into the creation of these songs and bring a little entertainment with it, all while portraying, as I'm hoping, accurate, but of course some drama mixed into the blend. And that is where we get to our review. So, as always, let's start with phase one. If you want to talk about one of the movies that's about a musical bibliography, Bohemian Rhapsody is the one to go to. I've seen my fair share, and while I've enjoyed most of them, for the most part, many of them are lacking kind of the authentic feel and the full-on experience to stay engaging. That was not the case with this film, at least for the most part. Bohemian Rhapsody had a complete experience with fantastic acting, kind of taking center stage to bring Freddie Mercury, I should say revive him, into the modern era, yet keep him still in the time that he was famous. Beautiful settings and scenery, mixed with a fantastic supporting cast, with makeup to really bring even them back into the modern era, yet going back into the past, was fantastic. It's an experience with high energy, high emotion that will grip you. And if you're a Queen fan, or just as many of the people were in my showing, you're going to find that you're reliving the past of the legend and getting that insight into the wonderful mind of Mercury and his dudes. However, the biggest thing is that music comes back in full-on spades and mixed with the acting, the mimicry, the stage choreography, and the feel of the concert. You are in what feels like a music video version of the entire album, and many of their most famous songs. It's amazing, off-the-chart, sound-blowing speakers that added class, poise, and yet just kept the whole experience fun. Something that in my experience for some of the things has not been the case when it comes to musical biographies and plays turned into movies. In regards to anything else, I can say that I wish there was probably a little more tightening of it, and maybe a little speeding up at some of the slower, darker parts that I'm just not a fan of seeing, which, yeah, will give you the experience, but kind of slightly derails from the pace and the kind of momentum of the movie. But that's about it. Fantastic experience that I hope many will enjoy. So where does this leave the scores? Musical, biography, and probably, I guess you'd say, history with some comedy mixed in. 9.5, if not a 10. Yeah, you heard me. First time in a while that I've given something that high in terms of its category. Movie overall, 8.5, 9 for the most part. Fantastic movie that brought in a lot of portrayal, with an 8 being the lowest that I can give it. Nevertheless, that's what I can say about Bohemian Rhapsody. And if you are done with kind of the quick and dirty review, then thank you very much for logging in, checking out my video, and of course, hopefully liking and subscribing and helping me make it better. However, if you want to stick around for a little more in-depth detail, then here we go, because welcome to the Phase 2 one. In terms of Bohemian Rhapsody, let's start with the acting. When it comes to an actor having to bring back a legend of someone who was a pop culture icon across multiple continents for many years, whose music still brings goosebumps to everybody, you have a big shoes to fill. And our leading actor, Mr. Robot himself, destroyed it with a fantastic performance. His mannerisms in terms of watching videos prior to this matched Mercury's kind of theme and gestures himself. He had the look, he had the pronunciation, he had the suave, and it was fan-freaking-tastic, and absolutely impressed with his ability to take these complex characters and just run with it. Breaking out of the Twilight, elemental one that he was a long time ago, this dude just killed it in terms of the performance, bringing all the emotional kick and fury and just passion that Mercury had for music to life. Now, of course, while he is definitely the leading man who deserves a lot of praise and hopefully an Oscar for this, because the guy, like I said, to do this, it's the role, it's the timing, and it is the talent. I really hope he is definitely at least nominated and perchance wins at the Oscars in some award. Now, in regards to the other, though, the movie wouldn't have been half as good too without the supporting cast. And they did a fantastic job integrating what seemed to be characters that were super important to Freddie. From Mary, the girl that kind of caught his fancy at the beginning, his bandmates, to even the manager. All the characters were fantastic, and I'd love to shed each and every one of them, but that would make this review probably 45 minutes long, and I don't think anybody wants to hear my voice that long. So let's kind of keep going with it. In regards to what the cast is able to do, though, it feels like a family, like a rock group, and it's almost like we're going on tour with them, feeling the doubts, the woes, the tension, the misery. I mean, it brings everything to light and feels like we're going through this experience of creation. And I guess that's what I'm going to have to give the director a big nod as another like, because the director did this beautifully, showing kind of the portrayal and the creative juices flowing as Freddie and the gang got into making and crafting the legendary songs that we all take for granted and just get in depth, get super involved and dive deep into. My apologies for stuttering. Now, in regards to it, though, I would say that the pacing is actually pretty good, even though it is over 2 hours long. There are very many times where you do not feel like it. And I think when you can do that for a musical biography that's portraying as much detail as it is, you get my vote on it. In regards to makeup, setting, and costumes, again, another fine craftsmanship work. Let's start with the setting, because I think that's the stuff that people really aren't going to care about as much, but I like to mention it because it pulls you back into the decades and helps you relive those golden years of Queen as they took the world by storm. 70s, 80s, the looks, the costumes that come into it. You're back in time and kind of boogieing it up and living it down. And then all of a sudden you see the makeup, and while I guess not only for Mercury, but the whole band, the recreation, as my friend Tim and Courtney both said, it was amazing how they were able to get that detail down pat, how they were able to really make them look just like their counterparts in the stills that you see like online, and just the accuracy of it is super impressive, even through the transitions, because they didn't stay static for long. You see the evolution in terms of their body structures, their hair. I mean, it is phenomenal at feeling like you're going again through their lives. Now, in regards to, I guess, the biggest event you're looking for, let's talk about the music. It's crammed with your stuff, with your favorites. And maybe not the complete song. You get plenty of the track to get you full on into the concert, feeling like you're back at a Queen show, or if you're like me, at your first Queen show, feeling the energy of Mercury and his portrayal on the stage, feeling the tension and the just passion of the rock group, and seeing how they kind of changed the face of rock and roll and the challenges that they went through. As you get into the light shows and the special effects, you keep pulling more and more into the experience, feeling like you're now actually at the concerts that they're playing. And when that finale hits and you get the full emotional swing, bam, you've got what was my favorite part of this movie, the musical experience, a bravo combination and culmination of cinematography, acting purposes, blending and bringing in sound editing and using Freddie's songs, and my gosh, a directing ship to really bring the emotion of the scene. Powerful stuff. I guess I would bring into the fact, too, that when they had to handle the less music-acquainted stuff, more of the personal ones, I was a little worried about this, because as I've seen in many of these documentaries, that's when you hit the molasses. Suddenly the pace is done, you just get into this dark, depressing mood, and it kind of kills the experience, at least it did for me. And in a movie like this about Queen, who had plenty of adventurous interest, you never know what they were going to do. Fortunately, the director, again, with the writers, took aim and classed it up. I'm not saying that it's prim and proper English 1800s traditional. I'm saying, though, that you get the full experience without all the details that I didn't want to see. I didn't want to see all the intense sharing and sexual experiences. I wanted to see the life and kind of the evolution of it. And they did a fantastic job with it, because they didn't dirty the memory of him and still managed to drive the point home. So, that's a very hard challenge to do, and I think the writers and the director did it. Now, in regards to anything else in terms of likes, it's very difficult for me for kind of pull things in because that's when I'll get into spoilers. But nevertheless, be ready for that experience. Now, in terms of dislikes, fortunately, this is the shorter end of it. The dislikes are actually maybe 3 at most, and they're kind of lower. First of all, it is the editing. It's a movie that's over 2 hours long, and there are parts that do slow it down, which is kind of my 2 dislikes. Editing could have probably tightened up some stuff. We could have had a few moments left out that we didn't need to see, but this probably would have only cut about 15 minutes off. So it's a minor detail thing. In regards to kind of the slow, dark parts, I understand. Legends like this don't always stay on the bright sunshine. And it does, you do have to kind of address it to get the full-on experience. My thing, though, is that maybe there was a small part that kind of felt like we'd run off the train after having such a fun concert experience. You suddenly hit this personal part and it runs off the mill. I can't say that's not important, because it is. I can't say that it was totally worthless, because it isn't. It's fantastically done. It's just it was slightly derailed. I guess my biggest thing is perhaps some of the other components of Freddy's life that they kind of hinted at and were trying to talk about were kind of hastily intertwined into it. And while I think they managed to maximize most of the stuff, there were components that probably needed a little more fleshing out. But the director's cut will probably take care of it. So again, small dislikes, but just trying to look at the big picture overall and compare it. And again, it is a musical biography, so while there's nothing wrong with that, the reason that it's hard to give this movie a 10 out of 10 overall is that in order to get that category, it's kind of looking at original story, and not just a musical biography. I may sound a little snotty with that, and that's it is. I very much apologize for it, but that's about it. Overall, you've heard my scores. This movie is phenomenal. You get this concert experience, you have a blast with it. You have some darker moments that you got to get ready for, but man, oh man, La Mancha. Fantastic acting, fantastic portrayal, and potentially going to stir up a lot of stuff for the award shows coming at the end of the season. But nevertheless, get yourself ready, because I implore everyone to please get out there and see Bohemian Rhapsody, because it literally rocks. It will rock you. You will feel like you are the champion with them. And you will fall in Rhapsody as all the other movies bite the dust. Now, musical puns aside with the titles, Queen's Story is by far my favorite musical biography that I've seen in a very, very long time, if not at all. But I've got others to go still check out and renew. But by far, check Freddie Mercury's story out, appreciate the acting and all the work going into it, and just get set up and geared for a concert experience. This is Robbie K signing off for the week. Don't worry, we'll be back with 3 more movies next week. But if there's movies or things you're interested in talking about, or you want me to just do a review that's already come out or has been out for years, I'll be happy to give it a shot. But please like, subscribe, share, and let people know, so I can make this channel bigger and hopefully make it better. Thanks, guys, for your support up till now. Have a good one.